Mm. Yo, 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 what up, boys? I forgot I plugged in the mic. What's poppin', everybody? What's poppin'? We all know by now, Nate Diaz versus Mike Perry official for May 16th on the Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano Netflix card. Let me pull it up for you, boys. There it is. There it is. Look at him. Look at him in the flesh. Mr. Be Real Nate Diaz taking on BKFC's King of Violence, Mike Perry. Official for May 16th. Now, I just got to say this, and, I'll probably have some more for you guys later as well. But, well, first of all, 5 rounds. Gonna be in LA where this event will be taking place. So just a couple things to knock off the checkbox, if you will. So this event will be at the Intuit Dome. Nate Diaz, West Coast. He's staying in the West Coast. He's coming down to LA for this fight. West Coast versus East Coast. And spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. You guys want to know who I'm picking? I'm picking Nate. I think Mike Perry's a dead man walking. Call me crazy, but Mike Perry is a dead man walking. No way Nate Diaz loses to Mike Perry in MMA. Yes, the bout is taking place under MMA rules on the first ever, Netflix MMA card in history. Here's the fight poster for it. So, it's official. Now there's much more to this. Oh yeah, 5 rounds too. So, I already said that. Yeah, 5 rounds, Netflix, LA, on the Ronda Rousey, Gina Carano card for like the 5th time. It should be the main event, no? This should be the main event, should it not be? Let's be real. Nate Diaz, he out of the UFC now. He been doing his thing. He fought Jake Paul. He fought George Masvidal. Now he doing this. This should be the main event. Mike Perry getting all the dubs outside of the UFC. The UFC didn't see a future with him. They didn't see the bag they could make with him. They didn't see value in him. He takes his talents elsewhere. He competed in triad combat early on when he got cut from the UFC or not re-signed. I don't know what happened with him not, continuing on with them. But he started off in triad combat in that triangular bare knuckle ring, quickly crossed over to BKFC, right, where he's been reigning. He's undefeated in BKFC, if I'm not mistaken. Homie undefeated. Goes ahead and fights Jake Paul. Now he doing this bout. I mean, Mike Perry fought MVP in BKFC. He fought Luke Rockhold. He fought Eddie Alvarez. He fought Chad Mendez. He's been running it up ever since leaving the UFC. Now he's going to cap it off with the big one. Mr. Nate Diaz, the big dog, the final boss when it comes to UFC and MMA. Nate Diaz in the 170-pound division. Low key, he's the final boss. And that doesn't necessarily mean he's the best fighter, although he's one of the top, if we're taking body of work over the last decade, okay, Nate Diaz is one of the top fighters at 170 in the last decade. I don't care what anybody says. So, congrats to Mike Perry taking on the final boss in Nate Diaz. If you get what I'm saying, you get what I'm saying. Don't take it too literal. That would be my one piece of advice to you. Don't take it too literal. Shout out to James Steele commenting saying, actually stoked for this one. So, James Steele, a normal or a regular viewer in the chat. I'm going to shout out the streets too in a minute here. So just give me a second. I just kind of got started out of nowhere. But, more on this, more to come on this, but let's just get it all off the chest now, what does this mean, right? And I had one more thing to say about this. It can't go without saying, right? It can't be not acknowledged that, just a couple of years ago, Mike Perry was, down bad after getting cut from the UFC. He had that whole little thing going on with his ex-wife, Danielle Nickerson, if I'm not mistaken, where, she called the cops on him. She went over to his parents' house and shit like that. There was audio recordings of Mike and his mom and his dad talking to Danielle and shit. There was that scene where Mike Perry got in a fight outside of a bar or a nightclub, so to speak. And he might have had a couple other incidents, like a DUI recently. Maybe in the last 12 months, Mike Perry had some type of DUI where he was going off on the cop. That's not that big of a deal. It was more so those first two things I mentioned to you guys. I think he was accused of DV with Danielle. I'm not sure what happened with it. I'm not here to even talk about that, really. I'm just here to say that it's a big turnaround for Mike Perry. A lot of people forget where Mike was when he left the UFC, what state his career was in when he left the UFC. And, he left the UFC on losses, right? He left the UFC, starts crashing out. And here he is in the Big 26 getting announced, fighting Nate Diaz on the first ever MMA Netflix card in history. You got to respect it. And I'm going to add on top of it, say what I already said, but add it on one more time. This should be the main event. This should be the main event, boys. Ronda Rousey, Gina Carano should be like the third fight. It should be the last one. It should be the bottom. It should be Mike Perry, Nate Diaz, main event. Francis Ngannou, Felipe Lins, co-main. Ronda Rousey, Gina Carano below that. Nobody gives a fuck about women's MMA. No one ever will. And the more you shove it down our throat, the more we're going to fucking hate it. The worse it's going to be. These women need to be, forced to evolve and actually sell shit, not be essentially used as marketing tactics. You feel me? These women are getting used up as marketing tactics because women's MMA is so underrepresented. They're going ahead and they're bringing in these women, right? And they're making it too easy for them. They're throwing these accolades on them just because they can, because they don't get much opportunities. But what is this going to do? How is this going to force women to innovate? You basically are rewarding them for doing dog shit and nothing. I just told you everything Nate and Mike have been up to in the UFC or outside the UFC since departure. And we got these women headlining the card who haven't been up to shit since their departures from MMA as a whole. So it needs to be said, women getting glazed up out of pity, right? There's another word for it. Patronize. We're patronizing women's MMA. That's what Jake Paul's essentially doing. DEI Promotions, aka MVP Promotions, is patronizing women's MMA by putting Ronda and Gina as the main event, right? You're patronizing, bro, and it's not gonna work. You can't shove it down our throat. They wouldn't sell more tickets anyway. If you talk about live viewership, live streaming numbers, while this event is airing live, okay, you're going to see a big dip after Nate Diaz versus Mike Perry. If you know what's best for you, MVP, aka DEI Promotions, you will put this fight as the main event. If you want all the numbers, you will put this fight as the main event. Because the live viewership is going to tank after Nate Diaz versus Mike Perry. Okay, you want to build it up. Ronda Rousey first, Ngannou second, Diaz Perry main event. Diaz Perry main event, And one more time, stop patronizing women's MMA. Women's wrestling, I fuck with women's wrestling. People think I just always hate the women. No, bro, the women just don't show shit. And they get glazed up. And somebody needs to be the one speaking their mind, such as myself. All right? That's the bottom line. They don't do shit and they get glazed up. When's the last time we saw a super impressive highlight from a woman? I'm waiting. We don't see crazy high-level stuff from women. That's because we patronize the fuck out of them. We don't force them to evolve. And, it needs to happen. They need to find a way to break through. And, they're not thirsty enough yet. They're not thirsty enough yet. In fact, they're probably like being borderline waterboarded. They're being borderline waterboarded because, we're just essentially just throwing opportunities in their laps nonstop. That's all I got to say about the women for now. That's all I got to say about the women for now. But it's like, come on, man. Are we looking out for our best interest or what? Like, okay, so we do this Gina Carano, Ronda Rousey main event thing. Who does that serve? Who does this serve? Exactly, the head kick from Holmes over a decade ago. Shout out to Junior Mint. But who does it serve putting Ronda as the main event? It actually shoots Jake Paul in the foot, putting Ronda as the main event. So I just want to know, like, who's winning from this? Who's winning from putting Ronda as the main event? Okay. Now that we got the Ronda thing out of the way, right? Let's address the elephant in the room, the real elephant in the room. Okay. What's the elephant in the room, boys? We got one or what? Well, I guess with this announcement comes the fact that we are kissing Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor trilogy goodbye. That's what it seems like to me. We're kissing the Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor trilogy goodbye. The UFC was interested in re-signing Nate, according to Ariel Helwani. The UFC was interested in making the trilogy between Nate and Conor, according to Helwani. According to Luke Thomas, in response to Helwani's reports, Luke Thomas added on top of that, and he said that, you know, there was a catch in this. There's a catch 22 in the negotiations with Nate in the UFC and Nate's decision to ultimately take his talents to the first ever MMA event on Netflix. What is that? Well, the caveat was that if you choose to not sign with us and you go to Jake Paul, kiss your swan song goodbye in the UFC, we're done with you. We're done with you. You're dead to us. You go over there, you're dead to us. We're done with you. That's what Luke Thomas is saying, okay? So with that knowledge, we may have just kissed Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor 3 goodbye. But you know what? Fuck the UFC if that's the case. And I'm not saying anything's for certain. I'm telling you guys that's what Luke Thomas is reporting. All right? But if Luke Thomas ain't capping, and he's not much of a capper, you know, dude does tell the truth. He is a journalist. He is certified and, you know, accredited over a long period of time. But if that's true what Luke Thomas is saying, then fuck the UFC, man. Fuck the UFC. Not willing to open up their pockets for Nate Diaz. I'm getting sick of it, man. You open up your pockets for Nate Diaz. Now, one thing that crossed my mind today is it's like, would this deal have gotten done if Dana was just more locked in on the UFC? Like, why can't these fights get done in the UFC? It's not that I'm really hating on the event, right? Or that it's taking place in Netflix, but let's ignore that and just acknowledge the question. Why can't these fights take place in the UFC? Why isn't the UFC making the bouts happen? Why aren't they? Nate Diaz, Conor McGregor. I don't care about the money, bro. Sign the motherfucker. Oh, also. Okay, this is a side note. So sorry about this super side note, boys. But I just saw Tony Sal drop, and I see Tony Sal dropping in a lot of the new emojis. So yes, boys, I created some new emojis. So here they are. I'll show you guys real quick. We're on a mega side note at the moment, so just forgive me. I know where I left off, though. I'm talking about Conor and Nate not getting booked. So with these emojis, oh, man, they removed my Nate Diaz emoji because I guess it's too bloody. Jeez. All right, we'll get a new Nate Diaz one in there. But, okay, so we added some new emojis. We also took a couple out. So we took out the #1 Vato emoji. We took out the walk 'em down emoji. But, you know, I listened to all you boys. I listened to all the requests. So, Nick Diaz, we did that one viral, that I screenshotted that viral video where he was in the bar watching the BMF champ get crowned. So we got that. That's a golden fucking emoji. We got Brandon Moreno, aka my twin. So, you know, use that one however you want. We got Buck in there. Keep it a Buck emoji. You know, we can use it as both, right? Joaquin Buckley emoji, but also drop it in there when I'm keeping it a buck. It would have been the perfect time to drop that in there, and I saw Tony Sal doing it, so shout out. We got the Hamzat emoji, right? With the devil eyes staring across his opponent before the fight. And we got the Strickland emoji, cancel me, t-shirt, rocking the cancel me tee. And these are some of the best ones. We got the Diddy emoji, and I did make you boys, due to popular demand, I gave you boys the Dober emoji, the Drew Dober emoji in a white hoodie. Hooded Dober. Hooded Dober. So shout out to Hooded Dober. We got Dober in there with the white hoodie. It ain't nothing personal, homie. It's all jokes and satire. So I don't want to hear anything about it. Don't want to hear nothing about it. And we got the Sean Brady emoji. So, I know that I'm rocking with Walking Buckley going into his fight. And a lot of people might be rocking with Sean Brady. We keeping it fair. And, you guys can drop in the Sean Brady emojis anytime. No sweat. No sweat. But, for the members, I do want to take care of you boys. So, like I say, we got good stuff coming for the members. I'm working on another interview right now, one that nobody's working on, and I think you boys are going to love it. It's going to be a solid interview. There's a story going around MMA right now. There's a former fighter who's kind of broadcasting his story right now, and we're in talks. So we're probably going to get him on. And obviously the members get access to all the interviews first. They get full access. They get access to the full interviews before anyone else does. So shout out to everybody. Shout out to everybody. Let's get back to the topic, though. So Juice says, this is huge, though. We can't say MVP ain't doing nothing. And that's what I don't want. So that's why I kind of said it before I started getting on my hate and shit, right, about not getting the Conor fight booked. It's really not, I'm not mad at MVP for booking Nate Diaz. I'm almost calling out the UFC for allowing this signing to happen. Okay, that's what I'm calling the UFC out for. Allowing this signing to happen and not opening up bottomless pockets for Nate Diaz. I don't know what's wrong with them. Why wouldn't you do that? Why would you let this slip through your finger, right, and give this bout to your competitors when this is what the fucking streets are dying for? We're dying for Nate Diaz's return. We're dying for the trilogy with Conor. The second one is very controversial. There's a huge asterisk on that one. I believe Nate Diaz won that shit. And these boys have been getting fucked over by the UFC for years because I just saw another clip today, and I've seen this fight, and he did win. Nick Diaz getting robbed by Carlos Condit for the interim title. Back in the day. Okay, all you new fans, you probably don't know about that shit. Go back and watch it. Okay? All the new fans who kind of don't know about Nick Diaz and he comes off as a strung out druggie to you, go back and watch the Condit fight. All right? You'll learn something about who, Nick Diaz was at one point in time. Go watch the BJ Penn fight. But, I just got to say that, I'm kind of disappointed in the UFC for not opening up their pockets for Nate. UFC had their finger off the pulse for a while now. It just, that's a main theme that I see with the UFC. Main theme I see with the UFC is their finger is not on the pulse. Not on the pulse at all. And they're not even really building up their stars as it is. It's just very counterintuitive to me. And I'm almost getting to a point where it's is Hunter Campbell the guy? Who the fuck is letting Nate Diaz go to the competitors? I have to say that one more time. Is Hunter Campbell really the guy? If Dana's given you the reins and you let Nate Diaz slip through your fingers, you give it to the competitor in Jake Paul, you let Ronda Rousey slip through the fingers, okay, regardless. We don't even want that anyway, but I'm just saying. You know what? Scratch that. Forget I ever said that. Okay, fuck the Ronda Rousey thing anyway. I'm glad they didn't sign her. Okay, that is finger on the pulse. But even, signing an Ngannou just to keep the monopoly going, so to speak. Why not? You know that you have competitors now. Now is the time to keep the monopoly going. Play hardball. Open up the pockets because now Jake Paul trying to compete with you. You should have been doing everything in your power to destroy this Netflix card. As soon as Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano got booked, and then you hear that Francis Ngannou is out of his deal, where's that petty game that Jake Paul's playing with you guys? Why don't you do that to Jake Paul? And ruin his event and sign Ngannou immediately, and then sign Nate Diaz and say, what you going to put on Netflix? What you going to put on Netflix? We got Masvidal still under contract too. What you going to put on Netflix? And don't think for a second that they don't see that stuff coming. The UFC, it's chess, not checkers. They always know, 3 steps ahead. They were aware of this, and they didn't do anything about it. You know, they were aware that Ngannou becoming a free agent, right, with this card already being announced, with MVP Promotions actively looking for bouts to put on it for Netflix, they completely missed the mark in re-signing on Ngannou. And now they do it with Nate Diaz. Like, it can't get any worse than this. It cannot get any worse than this. Like, okay, you know, the Ronda fight slips through the fingers, whatever, right? You don't sign Ngannou, okay. But now Nate Diaz? Bro, is this dude the guy? Is Hunter Campbell the guy? Could Dana get these deals done if he wasn't so focused on boxing? You know, could Dana get these deals done? Something tells me Dana could, bro. Something tells me Dana could. America First says Dana got so much money he will never sign Ngannou. Not after he badmouthed Dana. Wake the fuck up, man. That's fine, bro. But like at the end of the day, the UFC had was in the perfect position to completely fuck Ngannou in negotiations. And Ngannou probably would have not done it, right? Because they had Jake Paul on the back end offering him money, right? So if the UFC was going to try to like capitalize on him being a free agent, you know, you do have Jake Paul still negotiating. That's exactly what happened with Nate Diaz. But I don't know, man. By not signing these guys, you're opening up big fights. You're opening up big fights outside the promotion, and I just don't know that that's in the UFC's best interest right now. I don't. You know, this is creating competition, so to speak, by putting these fights together outside. I get it, right? But the UFC should just start opening up the pocketbook and pay these fighters. Like, if we have to do this, right, we have to miss out on these fights to create a competition only for the UFC to now realize that they got to pay fighters. Come on, bro. After missing McGregor Diaz 3, now we're going to realize it. Now we're going to realize we got to pay fighters. After we let Diaz McGregor 3 slip through our fingertips, you should have just paid Diaz. You should have just paid Diaz. Ngannou also has his pride. Even if the deal was good, Ngannou could have said no. No, yeah, I kind of just explained that too. And he likely would have if the UFC was trying to play hardball and then Ngannou got Jake Paul offering him ungodly amounts of money. Like, I get it. I totally get it. But they should have opened up. But this is my point. We just kind of explained that. And then I said, okay, so they let it slip through their fingertip. Now they're going to open up their pocketbooks. Now they're going to open up their pocketbooks. Or are they just never going to do it? Because people are praising these fights for getting booked, because it's apparently somehow backhanded way gonna allow the UFC to start paying their fighters more because this is good competition for everybody, right? Okay, let's see it. Let's see it. Let's see it. And it's a bit, you know, that conversation is a bit complex and intricate. So it's a tough one, but it's very backwards. That's what I'm trying to say is like all this stuff is backwards, right? A lot of this stuff is backwards right now, and I don't know why. I don't know why the UFC is a bit backwards. Good on Jake Paul for getting the fight booked. You know, good on Jake Paul for giving these fighters other options outside of the promotion. You know, all that stuff is good. All that stuff is good. But at the same time, I believe that the UFC should have opened up their pocketbooks. You know, I do believe so. Junior Man says Diaz trilogy not happening makes absolutely no sense. Okay, but as soon as that gets announced on Netflix, when Conor's out of his deal, everybody's going to lose their shit. Oh, okay, I read that wrong. Junior Man saying Diaz trilogy not happening makes no. Yeah, so we are in alliance with our point of view. Because I was just going to tell you, like, I thought you were saying the Diaz trilogy isn't going to happen and it makes no sense. And I was about to tell you, bro, people are going to lose their minds when it gets announced on Netflix if the UFC lets that slip through their fingertips. You know, and it's like, why wouldn't the UFC just want that under their promotion, under their lights? UFC's betting on the new generation, out with the old, in with the new. I don't think that's working. You know, in very few words, I don't think that's working. And I would get it if the UFC was betting on the new generation, but they're not even building up these guys' names. You know, the new generation you're talking about, what kind of efforts is the UFC doing to grow their names? Arguably nothing to grow their names. So, like, you know, I've seen a tweet though. They're saying, you know, if you're below 35, the UFC's not interested in you, and it's like, okay, but you're passing up on some serious opportunities here with that blanket statement. And I don't think it should be that black and white. You know, 35 years old. Come on, bro. Yeah, don't be putting a 40-year-old up against a 32-year-old. But Nate versus Conor 3 in the UFC. Please take my money. You know, Ngannou versus Aspinall, Ngannou versus Jones, Ngannou versus Pereira. Take my fucking money. I don't care about the beef, bro. I don't care about the beef. We're going to look at some clips of Ariel kind of reacting to things, but we are on to the next topic for now. But before we move on to the next topic, okay, 11 likes is absolutely disgusting. 11 likes. I know we've only been going for 30 minutes, but you know, 11 likes, absolutely disgusting. We need it up to 25 likes. Can we please get it up to 25 likes, boys? I would greatly appreciate it. Because 11 is just disgusting me right now. Thank you. I saw one like go up. Let's read some chats before we get into the next topic, shall we? I'm going to try to show you guys a little bit more acknowledgement before I go on to the next topic. So I see America First saying, same with Diaz. He took off to box Jake. That left a bad taste in Dana's mouth. He blacklisted Nate. Well, they were interested in re-signing Nate. You know, I guess they just weren't willing to open up the pockets. And how do you let Jake Paul outbid you? UFC is slowly killing quality MMA, unfortunately. And I don't know. I don't want to necessarily just shit on the UFC as a whole, but it's like they're letting these big fights slip through their fingertips. And it's because, you know, to be honest with you guys, they let these guys, I don't know. It's hard to explain, man. It's just hard to explain. Like why does the UFC have Nate Diaz astray running around, Francis Ngannou astray running around, right? John Jones astray running around, Masvidal, because these guys are going elsewhere because the UFC doesn't take care of them. The UFC should have been taking care of these guys, and they should have never left. They should have never gone anywhere. You know, they should have been retired in the UFC. Rosas being the UFC cash cow will bankrupt them. Rosas absolutely sucks. Conor had you all fooled. He teased you all that he was coming back over and over, and you all fell for it. Don't got much to say about that right now. I do believe he's going to be coming back at this point in time, so we'll see. Conor still got fights left on his deal. Ruby Z says, UFC is too busy trying to book Shamil Gaziev versus Tai Tuivasa. It's like, bro. America First saying, TBH, they're both way past their prime. I wouldn't want to see Trilogy now. I would like to see the Trilogy. You ain't getting my like because you talking bad about my girl Gina. Disgusting. All right. America First. All right. Let's do a poll. Diaz or Perry? I want to know what you guys think. Who's winning? I told you guys though, Diaz is gonna kill Perry. You know, Mike Perry is not a fraction of the MMA fighter Nate Diaz was, or is. Sorry. Diaz Perry. Shout out to buyer seller, and I wanted to shout out the first person in the chat today, who happened to be. Oh damn! I can't see it. Maybe I can scroll up on my phone here. America First was the first person in the chat, so shout out to homie. Perfecto was the second. Bloodhound Lil Jeff was the third. So shout out to you guys. Shout out to you guys for being first in the streets today. Okay, but moving on to the next topic of the day, before we kind of dive into some of the Ariel Helwani clips about the Nate Diaz topic. Colby Covington, you know, he's called out Bo Nickal to fight at 170. He told him, bring that stupid ginger bowl cut down to 170, and I did love it. I did love it. He also took a moment to go off on Tiki, Gosen, or as Colby likes to say, Epstein. And, you know, essentially, here's what Colby said, but I will play the clip for you. But as we all know, right, let me just read you the whole thing so you guys know the whole lore behind this. Colby Covington called out Bo Nickal to fight at welterweight after Nickal accused him of turning down a fight against him at UFC White House, and Bo seemingly declined. So essentially, you know, Bo accusing Colby of turning down a fight with him at UFC White House. Colby says, I never turned shit down against you at UFC White House. I was never offered anything. But if you want to talk that shit, right, come down to 170 and let's run it. And Bo, you know, apparently he declined to come down to 170. So here's the quote from Colby, and I'll give you guys the rest of the lore. But Colby says, I'm 190 pounds right now and will weigh 170 without a problem on a full camp. So if we're the same weight like you claim, that means you're 190 pounds right now, and a full camp should get you down to 170 as well. Because that's what Bo's been saying, you know, we're the same weight. I don't care if Colby's at, you know, fights at 170. We're the same weight. Fight me at middleweight. So that's why Colby's saying that. I propose we do this in a weight class where one of us is ranked and there's actual stakes. Bring that stupid ginger bowl cut down to 170 pounds, and I'll grant your wish to fight the biggest name in the welterweight division. We could do it this summer too if you want. Tell your boy Tiki Epstein to call Hunter Campbell and ask nicely for King Colby at welterweight, and maybe I'll oblige. Maybe I won't. You don't call the shots. Your boy Tiki Epstein don't call the shots. If this fight happens, it's because I call the shots, Junior. So let's watch it. Hold up 1 second, though. All right. What's popping, Chris Alpha? America First saying Mike. Bloodhound says, you're my go-to MMA channel. Thank you, Bloodhound. That is the greatest compliment I could receive, homie. 10-7 Colby. Yeah, I fuck with Colby's diss on this one. It's like, who do you pick? Everybody hates Bo. Everybody hates Colby. America First says Mike Perry. Zach says Mike got this. Zach says it's going to be a banger stand-up hands throwing fight. Yep. Yep. Except when Nate starts outboxing Mike and Mike clinches up against him, then Nate hits him with the judo throw, then probably subs him. You know, Nate got a way of doing that. Never forget, Nate made Connor shoot on his ass. Nate made Connor shoot on his ass. Guess who else shot on Nate's ass? Tony Ferguson before he got gillied. You know, Jake Paul, the fight to make really was Nate Diaz versus Dustin Poirier. I wonder if they discussed that at all. Nate Diaz versus Poirier. That would have been the fight. Nate versus Poirier over Nate versus Mike Perry for sure. For sure. Nate is a BJJ expert. Yeah, he GOAT. BJJ GOAT. Okay, let's watch the Colby Covington call out. I did notice something funny. Colby never really took a puff of that cigarette, and the video starts with him blowing out the smoke. I feel like this is all prop. Like, Colby actually hates smoking cigars. But let's watch it. Let's watch it.
All right, Bozo. I know you're a big fan of weight classes and refused to wrestle a 50-year-old man that was 6 pounds too heavy. And we all know someone of your moral superiority would never try to have a weight advantage in a fist fight. You won't stop talking about us being the same weight, which is honestly refreshing to hear because I'm 190 pounds right now and will weigh 170 without a problem on a full camp. So if we're the same weight like you claim, that means you're 190 pounds right now, and full camp should get you down to 170 as well. I propose we do this in a weight class where one of us is ranked and there's actual stakes. So how about bring that stupid ginger bowl cut down to 170 pounds, Lloyd Christmas, and I'll grant your wish to fight the biggest name in the welterweight division. We could do it this summer too if you want. But let's get one thing crystal clear. I'm not going to take away an opportunity from someone who, unlike you, has done things the hard way to earn a spot on a big card like Kyle Dawkins. He's 10 times the man and fighter you ever could be. You're just a competitor, bozo. You're not a fighter. You've had everything fed to you on a silver spoon. Nobody likes you because you're a spoiled brat dildo, and nobody respects you because you're a quitter. We all watched the real bozo come out on a stool against the Dutch grappler. Dawkins will bring that same quitter out of you on the White House lawn. Fact of the matter is, I don't need to fight you. You need to fight me because I violated you via truth bombs right to your face at the RAF press conference. You wouldn't be throwing a tantrum or saying my name if you weren't such a fragile, narcissistic crybaby. But everything I said was true, and nothing cuts deeper or stings worse than the truth. It's not my fault that you're too fragile to handle the truth, bozo. So quit acting like the world of this sport owes you anything, you spoiled little bitch. Tell your boy Tiki Epstein to call Hunter and ask nicely for King Colby at welterweight, and maybe I'll oblige. Maybe I won't. But that's the beauty of it, and that's the lesson you need to learn. You don't call the shots. Your boy Tiki Epstein doesn't call the shots. If this fight happens, it's because I call the shots, Junior.
You do gotta love a Colby Covington call. I don't care if you hate him. I don't care if you hate him. You gotta respect a Colby Covington call out. And to be honest with you, I don't really like Bo. And it's so wild to say because I was a big fan of Bo in college wrestling. Obviously, I was a big fan of Bo in college wrestling. So like, I like Bo, or I did like Bo, but he came into the UFC and, everything that Colby kind of said about him just now, it was hella scripted, Junior Mint. And Bo Nickal just said he was reading off a teleprompter. Yeah, he is, but it's still funny as hell. Classic Colby. What I was going to say, though, is that Colby hit the nail on the head with a lot of the Bo Nickal criticism. He acts entitled. He came into the sport thinking he knew it all. He does come off as spoiled, right? I mean, homie just like... in this gutter-ass sport, Bo Nickal came in here with his little goody two-shoe lifestyle, and, like, I just think it rubbed people. I think it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Even, like, I don't know, even when Bo was doing his little steak videos in the backyard and, in these big old houses, I was like, ugh, it just wasn't the temperature of the sport. It's like, we're not used to seeing these new guys acting like these rich, entitled dudes. Like, let's speak about Bo Nickal saying, if I'm not, I should be this massive favorite, right? I deserve to be on pay-per-view cards. All these things that Bo was doing, combined with, just even flexing, being in big houses and stuff, even though that's like mommy and daddy's house. You feel me? It was given a lot of bad vibes. And then Bo, with the media, I've spoken about this before, but there's a Bo and media. He obviously got media trained at Penn State, right? Because Penn State, lots of media coverage with the college wrestling, and Penn State college wrestling media training is counterintuitive to UFC so-called media training. What do I mean by that? Well, in college wrestling at Penn State and a lot of professional sports, right, where you don't actually have to sell tickets. The thing about that is, media training, they teach you don't play into the narratives. The journalists, they're going to come out, they're going to ask you these spicy questions. Don't fall into the narratives, right? Do not give them any ammo to add pressure to your performance, right? These questions about, what's it going to be like to be a 4-time champion? Oh, this person beat this person. What do you think about that? A lot of things they shut down. Bo came into the UFC thinking he knew everything, and he actually didn't. And so he comes on, speaking, he doesn't really value media, right? He only really does Ariel Helwani interviews or like MMA Junkie. He doesn't indoctrinate himself with the fans and the masses and the media, right? There's a lot more media you could do than fucking Ariel and MMA Junkie. But you just always elevated yourself above everybody, and then you don't even really give good answers to questions because you think you're doing the right thing, but you're really not. You're killing your narratives that would sell tickets, that would get people to tune in, that you didn't have to do at Penn State. But now you got to do that here. But since you think you know it all, right, you're not doing that, and you're completely unaware and oblivious to what you have to do in here. And those are some of the reasons why I didn't like Bo. It took me a long time to figure it all out, but You know, Colby did say a lot of it right there. You know, Bo was even on Joe Rogan's podcast, and Bo was on there saying, like, these guys don't know how to train. Like, I know how to train. Like, these UFC fighters, they don't know how to conduct their camps. They don't know what they're doing. I'm coming in trying to change the sport. Bro, you coming in trying to change the sport. You just started this shit. You just got here. You and your fucking college wrestling, go take a seat somewhere else, bro. Go take a seat somewhere else. Go watch that Joe Rogan podcast. Bo Nickal coming off so arrogant, dissing how all these other fighters train. You know, they don't know what they're doing. I'm the one who knows what I'm doing in here. You just got here, homie. You literally just got here. Trolling the fans. You know, it's fine. You could troll fans. But, again, he just always acts like, it goes without saying, right? It goes without saying. He always acts like he's above it all. Like he's a level above it all. Mr. Bo Nickal. And it's like, how could you be above it all, bro, when you literally just got here, quite frankly? You know, that's the thing that kind of pisses me off is like, he just elevated himself, you know, and he just got here, bro. Like you literally just got here. But okay. Whatever for Bo. Bo responded to Colby Covington, and he says, I'm not going to listen to Colby read a teleprompter for 2 minutes, but bottom line is he's a coward. And then, you know, obviously, that whole thing about Bo revealing Colby turned him down for UFC White House, hence the booking against Kyle Dawkins. Colby comes out and says, I was never offered a fight. Then Bo Nickal responded, and he said this, Colby, I haven't signed a fight contract yet. We can still make this happen. And in all honesty, I do think you deserve to be on the White House card. If you want to fight, we can both call Hunter together and make it happen. So, you know, even Bo overlooking Kyle Dawkins on this one, right? Going after Bo when he got Kyle Dawkins in the works. He acting like he above Kyle Dawkins. Like, oh, yeah, me and you can fight, Bo. Let's, you know, Kyle Dawkins, he'll just get removed off of this card, even though it's already an announced bout. You know, even that low-key rubs me the wrong way. Why are you, right, killing the fight that you already got going on with Kyle Dawkins, and you're acting as if like, oh, yeah, the fight's not even signed. I could fuck this dude, and you and me could fight. You know, drop the Diddy emojis in the chat. Okay, because that was a no Diddy right there. I could fuck this dude is crazy work by me. I could fuck this dude is crazy work by me, but whatever. So, you know, that's the Colby Covington, Bo Nickal update. I do see... You know what? Let's shout out the boy. Tony has died. Should we shout out the boy? Tony has died. 1 second. Let's shout out the boy. Tony has died because I saw this today, and maybe some of you guys are thinking this. Maybe some of you aren't. But it'll be a good way to kind of cover this call out full stop. It'll be a good way to cover this call out full stop. What if Dawkins wins? I'm riding with Dawkins. Low-key riding with Dawkins. Shout out to Meat Rocket. And just a reminder, boys, if you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel. Okay. We're live for the next 90 days, or, you know, we're in the middle of a 90-day live stream streak. I believe 3 weeks is tomorrow or Wednesday. So, yeah, we're 3 weeks into the 90 days straight live streaming. So everybody subscribe and like the stream if you haven't liked it yet. Let's hear Colby. You know, Tony has died essentially. You know, he called Colby on his words as well. So calling Colby a hypocrite for making Bo come down to 170, insinuating that Bo's a weight bully, right? Colby's like, or Tony has died is like, bro, you've called out several lightweights in your day. Don't be calling Bo Nickal, you know, a weight bully. So let's hear it.
All right, Bozo. I know you're a big fan of weight classes and refused to wrestle a 50-year-old man that was 6 pounds too heavy. We all know someone of your moral superiority would never try to have a weight advantage in a fist fight. Would never try to have a weight advantage in a fist fight.
Hey, there in Louisiana swamp trash. Where you at, Dustin Poirier? You said it's on site. Name the site.
You know, there's a couple guys out there. You know, Patty Pimlet's always an option. You know, he's a big name, and he's been running his mouth about me. So I'd love to settle that. Michael Chandler's always a possibility. He's ran.
All right, Bozo. I know you're a big...
So there you have it. There you have it. You know, he did call out Chandler. He did call out Poirier. So, Colby, the streets haven't forgot. But honestly, it doesn't it doesn't matter because I don't fuck with Bo. It doesn't matter to me because like I don't fuck with Bo. I don't fuck with Bo calling out Colby to come up to 185. When Bo Nickal is the same person who turned down Yoel Romero because he missed weight by like 6 pounds. All right, now you're asking Colby to come up 15 pounds to come fight you? Bro, you literally turned down Yoel Romero, and then you wouldn't even compete against Pat Downey when you guys were the same weight. You just didn't have him as your opponent that you trained for, so you turned that shit down too. Then you got stripped of your light heavyweight title by Raph. So, I mean, Bo Nickal's the same guy. This is why I don't really give a shit about the receipts for Colby of him calling out lightweights in the past. Don't care at all because Bo, recent history of Bo, he turned down Yoel Romero at RAF over a weight miss. This is the type of stuff. And then he turns down Pat Downey when Pat Downey's opponent missed weight too, right? So they're both left without an opponent. They both weighed in at the same weight class. And Pat's like, well, I'll compete against Bo. I'm a showman. The show must go on. And Bo's like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to compete against Pat Downey either. He likely could have beat Pat Downey. He's a more accomplished wrestler than Pat Downey. They both they come from the same era essentially, and Bo has 3 times the accomplishments as Pat Downey, and that's no offense. That's just a fact. And Bo straight turned him down. And once again, let me just say it one more time. He turned down Yoel Romero over missing weight by 6 pounds. Okay. So don't be calling out Colby Covington to come fight you at 185, bro. Just because he called you on your entitlement bullshit at that RAF press conference. Okay. All that stuff is true about you, Bo, that he said about you. And it would behoove you if you would actually listen to it instead of reaching out to Chael Sonnen with your elitist mentality and being like, Chael, can you give me some constructive criticism? I'm above the fans and their constructive criticism, and it kind of confuses me. Chael, can you give me something? It's like, Bo, fuck you, dude. Fuck you. It's just the whole thing with Bo. If you don't get why it irritates me that he reaches out to Chael for the constructive criticism when the constructive criticism is literally all over the internet, written in fine print for Bo to read, and he's like, no, I can't take that. Let me ask Chael. If he can give me the constructive criticism. Colby just gave it to you, bro. He just gave it to you. You're entitled. You know what I mean? You act spoiled. So, whatever with Bo. That's everything I got to say about Bo. And why I don't care if there's any hypocrisy with Colby. Whatever, brother. It's good by me. Don't care at all. Space Kid says, hi, I've been in here. What's poppin', Space Kid? Good to see you, homie. Good to see you in here, brother. Buyer Seller says UFC stays making shitty ass fights. Bo versus Colby would have been lit. Sean versus Sandhagen. Pereira versus Jones. Yep. Can't believe Bo refused to wrestle Yoel. He lost so many fans after that. He's just such a clown, bro. And then he took his payday from Raph too. It's like, oh my gosh. You say no to everything, but Raph is like, yeah, here's your show purse too. We're gonna do it on just the strength. Right? We're going to give you your show purse off the strength, bro. And Bo's like, okay, yes, I'll take that. Fucker doesn't say yes to anything else but the fucking money. Crazy. Nerd-ass matchmakers. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I don't know if Hunter Campbell's the guy, bro. Hunter Campbell be fumbling matchups. I know Dana's not in the good graces with us, and we're, by default, showing love to Hunter Campbell. Being like, oh, I see all these memes now. Hunter Campbell really is the boss man. Oh, my gosh, bro. Stop glazing. Okay, stop glazing. After Bo's first L, the hype train fell off. Yeah, I was hyped on Bo even when he started his MMA career. Just he did so many things that rubbed everybody the wrong way. And I will admit that him choosing to stand up and strike with Paul Craig really infuriated me. Choosing to stand up and strike with Paul Craig really infuriated me. And it's just crazy because he speaks like he knows everything about this game, and he's scary to grapple with grapplers. He's scary to grapple with grapplers. You could never say that about Khabib. Khabib was never scary to grapple with grapplers. Bo Nickal, scary to grapple with grapplers. Thinks he knows everything. Okay. I recommend Bo learn some jiu-jitsu. Everybody's posting about this today, though. The, UFC White House going to be unsanctioned. You heard it here first, though, boys. You heard this here first, though. You heard it here first. And then also, shit, this is just like another one of those topics on the day, but it's like, what am I going to say about it? Like, but Alex Pereira, he just inked a new 8-fight deal with the UFC. So it's just, I guess, a congratulations to Pereira. We could talk about it a little bit. I mean, I could talk about it right now for you. Let me just speak on it real quick. Mr. I Am Saturday. This is the homie I've been trying to get on the pod. We actually, what's funny is every time I see Saturday's takes, like, we do agree sometimes, but we also have complete opposite takes at times too. And I do think that would make it a great show. Even this one, Saturday saying Lerone Murphy should fire his management team. I mean, I guess it's kind of the same complaint I've had about Lerone myself, except for I just blame Lerone himself. I've been saying Lerone's missed several opportunities after big wins to make callouts, and this is why he's in the position he's in. Essentially, how about when he beat when Lerone beat Josh Emmett, I believe, in the main event the week before. Diego Lopez versus Volkanovski, and Gene Silva versus somebody else, right? And he didn't call out any of them. Lerone didn't call out any of them. So it's a lot of revisionist history, but I'll try to pull it up real quick for you. Yeah, Lerone Murphy, after he beat Josh Emmett in the main event, right? There was another card taking place the following weekend, and that was Volk versus Diego 1. And then on this card, there was 2 big featherweight matchups. There was actually Bryce Mitchell. Now I'm remembering it. It was Bryce Mitchell versus Gene Silva, and it was Volk versus Diego Lopez. And like I said, Lerone headlined the weekend before, bro. The weekend before, headliner. All right, featherweight headliner. The weekend before, a featherweight main event pay-per-view with Gene Silva and Bryce Mitchell also on the card. I told Lerone, I actually have a post on Instagram where I reacted to Lerone's call out after his win over Josh Emmett, and I was just so disappointed. I was so disappointed that he didn't say, I want to fight the winner of Gene Silva versus Bryce Mitchell. I want to fight the winner of the main event, Volk versus Diego Lopez. I'm here. I'm ready. The UFC quite literally put him in position to do that, and he completely ignored it. Didn't say anybody's name. So, like, that was a big catastrophic issue for Lerone. A massive catastrophic issue for Lerone is the fact that he didn't make that call out after the win over Josh Emmett. 1 second, I got to rip ass. All right, we good now. Shit, it's that caffeine in the energy drink. So yeah, just a little bit of lore for Lerone. It's kind of a side note, but we got I Am Saturday here. The betting homie saying like Lerone should fire his management team. The fact that he's fighting in a title eliminator against an undefeated Movsar Evloev is an embarrassment. I agree. And I agree he should have got that opportunity. He would have got that shit. But, Well, actually, there's one other thing I was going to say is that Gene Silva beat Bryce Mitchell, right? And look who Gene Silva fought after. So Gene Silva beats Bryce Mitchell, and then he fights Diego Lopez, the guy who lost in the main event, right? Then Diego Lopez gets the title shot again against Volk. So if you're following that MMA, timeline here, right, it could have just as easily been Lerone Murphy fighting Gene Silva, right, off their wins over Bryce Mitchell and Josh Emmett. And if Lerone Murphy would have beat Gene Silva like he should have called him out for, or called out the title shot point blank period, okay, but let's just go with Gene Silva. It would have been Gene Silva versus Lerone Murphy instead of Diego Lopez. If Lerone beat Gene Silva, well, then who would have been up in that title shot come January? Okay, so there's the whole lore for Lerone. You know, Lerone shot himself in the foot big time by not capitalizing off his win over Josh Emmett and calling out the main event or the other featherweight fight on the following weekend's card. You know, Lerone has nobody to blame but himself, not even his management. But the whole I guess I was gonna speak on the Alex Pereira inking a new deal. I was gonna speak on that real quick. Bloodhound says, funny how Dana talks about UFC being as big as the other major sports, but don't want to pay his athletes in accordance. Yeah, man. I know. Okay, so yeah, Pereira has inked a new 8-fight deal. But it's like, homie is old as fuck. He's almost 40. So this is where they put their this is why they couldn't sign Nate or some bullshit. But yeah, Pereira, he's like, how old is he? He's 38 years old. He'll be 39 in July. Oh, he's July 7th. I'm July 14th. Shout out to Pereira. His birthday's a week before mine. But yeah, Pereira just inked a new 8-fight deal with the UFC. He goes, they took really good care of me. The contract was so good that I let it open for them to do whatever they want. So I expect that the UFC took advantage of that, I guess. Essentially, Alex said, they're offering me so much money per fight, it could be a forever deal. I could be under contract with them till I'm 75 years old, and I'd be good with it. And best believe the UFC locked him into some type of contract like that. So Pereira, he'll be under contract with the UFC until the day he dies. But congratulations. Congratulations, homie. You probably are the top dog in the UFC right now with that 8-fight deal. Considering you just let them, he basically just admitted to selling his soul. He basically just admitted to selling his soul to the UFC. Not in the worst way, but just like, I basically said, like, you can be my daddy. Just give me, the biggest paydays for my fights. And you guys could be my daddy. I will never go to Jake Paul. Daddy Dana, you are my only daddy. I'll never go to Jake Paul. I think that's what it was. I don't really want to watch it, to be honest with you. But, congratulations to Alex, I guess. Not I guess, congratulations to him, but. And yes, UFC was interested in the Nate Diaz return. They wanted him against Conor. This is what Ariel's saying. So let's do that. Let's do that topic. Oh, by the way, Ian Gary calling cap on Islam's hand injury as well. I think that hand injury is cap. I'm not saying Islam's lying about it. I'm almost saying Dana and fucking Ali are lying about it to the people because they're coping. They're coping about not putting that fight together for Ilya. It sounds much better if the fight didn't get made because Islam's injured than that fight didn't get made because we didn't want to pay the fighters what they're worth, right? So it's the same thing why Dana's trashing John Jones, being like, yeah, John was never in negotiations, right? Because if John was in negotiations and they let the negotiations slip through their fingertips and people are hating on the card, that's a bad look. That's a bad look. They, directly chose to not put John Jones on the card by not honoring what he wants to get paid, $30 million. And if the fans found out about that after complaining and bitching, that's bad news for Dana. Dana going to be down bad over that because they're going to be like, bro, you could have done it and you didn't. And I think that's why Dana's talking about this little hand injury with Islam. I call cap too, bro. Where the fuck has Islam had a hand injury, bro? Could be totally wrong about that, but I'm just telling you guys what I think. Let's do the Ariel thing, though. Buyer seller says he's retiring after that contract for sure. Then he'll get into events. Bro, Pereira does not have 8 fights left in him. Buyer seller. And even if he retires while he still has fights on his deal, that's the same thing Masvidal did. That's the same reason why Masvidal will not be on the Netflix card, because Masvidal is signed to the UFC. You know, the UFC loaned him out to fight Nate Diaz, but that's because they gave explicit permission, not because he's free. He's a free man. Masvidal is still very well locked up with the UFC. He retired, but he also on one of those forever contracts. Buyer seller says back in the day, fighters had no choice but to fight. They could throw a $250K in front of them, in front of anyone, and they fight a fucking bear. Now everyone's trying to get rich. It's not about fighting anymore. Well, I would say that I'm happy. I'm happy that the fighters are getting what they're worth now, because clearly, right, we see too many fighters down bad and out, and I'm happy that I'm seeing fighters demanding what they're worth for these days. You know, I'm not happy seeing. I would not be happy seeing Nate Diaz sign a $1 million contract to return to the UFC. You know, I want him to make more than that. Also, I wanted to show you guys another thing. Maybe I'll just pull up a second tab real quick, because speaking about, like, you know, these fighters getting money, is it just me, or like anyone see the video of Kevin Vallejos jumping up and down after getting news that he received a bonus after his fight? Anyone else think this shit is super goofy and corny and like it makes the fighters look bad? Because I do. I do.
Excellent. Well, it was a tough competition for performance bonuses tonight. I'm happy to tell you, you got performance of the night. Congratulations.
Felicidades, una tremenda noche llena de peleas buenas. Ganaste el bonus de performance.
Yes.
100K, baby.
This is not the flex that I think people, you know, expected it to be. I watched this and this thoroughly low-key pissed me off. I do not want to see a world-class fighter like this dude who just won in a main event jumping up and down like a little boy because Daddy Dana decided he's the lucky one who gets 100K tonight. Okay, this shit low-key pissed me off, and like this is not a flex at all. This is like a backhanded, like people. I feel like these media pages think the same thing as me, but they're wording it positively, right? But they know the optics of this. In my opinion, I think everybody knows the optics of this. You know, I think everybody knows the optics of this. Look at this guy jumping around, grown ass man jumping up and down for $100,000. Now, $100,000 is a lot, but when you're this skilled of a fighter in the UFC, coming off a main event, okay, I don't respect it.
Buenas, ganaste el bonus de performance.
Yes.
100K, baby.
Mom, not
It just dwindles these guys' worth, too. It just dwindles these guys' worth, you know? It just dwindles these guys' worth. They shouldn't be excited about it. They should be like, thanks. Beautiful. Yeah, cool. We need more money, too. You know? Buyer seller says, I mean, I don't know if he's happy about the money or the performance of the night, being he had the best performance. No way he's jumping up and down because, you know, of an award, bro. This is prize fighting. You know, this is prize fighting. He's jumping up and down because he got the money, not because he got recognized. You feel me? The recognition is cool, but that's not why he's jumping up and down. And I get it. I get it. You know, if he's Mexican, that's like $500,000 to him. That's like 7 houses in his country. That's not even really my point, though. My point is that he should have that type of money. You know, my point is that he should have that type of money. Before they announce that bonus, you feel me? He should already be good like that. You know, he should already be good like that. Like if he's Mexican, that's like $500,000 to him. He should already have his equivalent of $500,000 before Dana even gave him that. You feel me? That's what I'm trying to say. Right? But homie probably on a 50-50 contract going into a main event. You don't see Boss Rutan doing that shit. I see. Yeah, it's just you don't see boxers doing that shit either. It just makes the sport look really corny, bro. It's nothing against Kevin either. I'm just calling out the UFC for like, bro, you're making these guys jump up and down like for it's kind of embarrassing, bro. It's just I think that I just respect the sport too much, bro. I have too much love and, you know, loyalty and admiration for this shit. And like, I don't know what it is, bro, but like I just need these fighters. I need more for these fighters than, you know, jumping up and down over that bonus. I need them to have more self-worth than that. Okay, I'm trying to get to these aerial clips. My bad on that. It's these aerial clips I've been wanting to show you guys. And then you know, I'll open up the chat for some for some kind of like Q&A type shit. So, shout out to all you boys for kind of like, you know, chilling, watching, staying patient. I know some of you guys are waiting for that type of Q&A thing to start going on. So, I'll oblige you guys. Got you says, bro, he's 24 and from Argentina where poverty is prevalent. Again. And then thinking again, saying you wouldn't be doing backflips if you won 100K. Again, you guys are low-key kind of missing my point. I'm going to say it one more time. These guys should not be relying on these discretionary bonuses like that. You know, they should already have it like that. They should already have it like that. Let me return the question to you thinking again. You saying that Bud Crawford, or okay, I know that Bud Crawford is like too much, but okay, let's just put it like this, thinking again. You saying that a boxing main event fighter will be jumping up and down if he won 100K off a discretionary bonus? He's a main event fighter. If you don't get it, it's fine. You probably are one of those people who thinks that fighters who don't get paid that much should just fight more anyway. You know, you might be one of those people, but you know, the bottom line is that he should already have it like that. He should just already have it like that. The 100K should be normal to him. It's 100K, bro. He's a professional fucking athlete. I don't need it to be dwindled down to where it's like, but he's from Mexico. He works for an American fucking company. Okay? He works for an American fucking company. We operate off of what you should be paid on US dollars working for an American company. You know, that's so backwards being like, oh, you know, you work for an American company. So yeah, we could pay you less because technically in your city, it's like, it's worth double. Bro, get the fuck out of my pockets. I want all of that shit in USD, motherfucker. I don't want to hear nothing about pesos. You know, all I want to hear is USD. If it ain't USD, it don't make sense. So like, I don't want to hear anything about, oh, it's worth double though in Mexico. Get out his pockets. Okay, get out his pockets. It's 100 fucking K. All right, USD. Why is he jumping around for 100K USD? We're calling him Ilia Topuria 2.0. He's coming off a main event win. Jumping up and down like a court jester. Okay, here's Ariel reacting to the whole Nate Diaz thing. Gallu says 4 fights in and he should have it like that. Yeah, he's a main event. He's a main event. It's 100K, bro. It's 100K. He's a main event fighter. Is the UFC not compared to these other legit promotions? Was the UFC not signed to 7.7 billion? He's a main event fighter. Like, what don't you get about that? Boxers starting off pro probably make less, FYI. Main event boxers, like, oh my God. Oh my God. Let's please stop doing this. Let's please stop moving the goalpost. Okay. When it comes, oh my God, he's 4 fights in. Oh my God. The money's worth double in Mexico, though. Oh my God. Pro boxers starting off don't make as or make less. Bro, he's a main event fucking fighter. He's a main event fighter. Like, I don't care about how many fights he got. I don't care how much money it translates to in Mexico. He's a main event fighter. And you making me elaborate off of this too much is like, it's just too much at this point. You know, it's making it more serious than it is. I'm just saying he should have it like that. It looked a little bit goofy, him jumping up and down celebrating the 100K. That just bottom line. I don't need to keep ranting about it. It's making it, you know, overkill. Money's with Forex on Mexico, LOL. It was a fight night also. Bro, that's the UFC's problem. That's the UFC's problem, bro. That's the UFC's problem. Whatever got you. Whatever got you. UFC has a big issue on their hands. Yeah, whatever it's worth in Mexico is what it's worth in Mexico. Let's listen to Ariel Helwani reacting to the whole booking. It's just a bit interesting. As soon as the UFC increases pay, the quality will get better too. Obviously. But the UFC doesn't see it that way, but I do. I see it that way.
Guys, we don't have time for all of this, all right? We don't have time for the dilly-dallying. It is Monday. There's a lot of...
That's what they did with Conor Benn. Sorry to pause it, but that is what they did with Conor Benn. You know, Eddie Hearn completely put the, you know, juiced up Conor Benn, meaning like he put the promotional machine behind him. He gave him money. He gave him this lifestyle, making it seem like he got it like that. He on private jets to the point where Dana signed him to $15 million. All right. Guy's never won a world title in boxing in his life. But because he got built up, you know, that's what allowed him to get signed for that much money. It's about your image. Same image as flying on private jets, same image acting like you got it like that is not jumping up and down like a little boy when you get 100K. If you don't get that, then you don't get it. And it's not that serious. It's just a simple observation. You know, it's just really a simple observation that, like, you know, your worth is also how you're presented, bro. And I just fear that Kevin Vallejos jumping up and down like that over 100K, that's going to open the door for the matchmakers to take advantage of him in negotiations because they see how happy he is to make 100K, you know? And if you don't get it, you don't get it. I don't want to keep explaining myself. I've been on that for too long now. T. Olive says, hey, Perry Punch, has anyone ever told you buy or sell NFL and NBA players make 100K in their sleep? Thank you, bro. Thank you. It's really not that hard to comprehend, but I know some people are, and those might be the UFC shills. So, you know, I forgive you. Got you. I forgive you, homie. Thinking again, saying you wouldn't do backflips for 100K. Bro, I would. Okay, but if I was a UFC fighter, I would not. I'd be like, cool.
Guys, we don't have time for all of this, all right? We don't have time for the dilly-dallying. It is Monday. There's a lot of breaking news. Let us get to the biggest breaking news of the day. 12 p.m. Eastern, we find out that the newest edition, the latest edition to the MVP MMA Netflix card, again, May 16th, live on Netflix, no pay-per-view required, Intuit Dome, Inglewood, California. Of course, the one headlined by Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano, we already know. Francis Ngannou against Philippe Lins. It has been added. It is official. the return to mixed martial arts for the beloved and incomparable Nathan Diaz going up against Platinum Mike Perry, 170 pounds, 5-round fight. That is real. And it's not in bare knuckle, and it's not in boxing. It's in the discipline that we all want to see them compete in, and that's mixed martial arts. Nathan Diaz versus Mike Perry at 170 pounds has been added to this card on May 16th. And I would say this is 70 minutes old. I will say the response to be pretty damn great. Seems to be like a lot of people are saying, wow, this is fun, this is great. And of course, there's going to be the comparison to the White House card and to the UFC product as of late. That's fun, that's cool, you can do that all you want. But all of a sudden, you're staring at a card where it's Ronda versus Gina, it's Francis returning to MMA, and it's Nate versus Mike. Whenever they do that press conference, that first face-off, it's going to be, it's going to be bananas. It's going to be absolutely insane. Those two guys together have never, they've never been linked. We've heard them talk about each other. We've seen them circle each other. But quite frankly, we've never really seen them get even close to booked. To see them now actually booked is very exciting, I think, for a lot of people. Now, I know what you're probably thinking at home. Oh, you're working the card. You're biased. You're this. You're that. All right, so let me bring in the guys. Let me take the temperature of the room here. All right, PT's here. GC, Rick, as always. PT, let me go to you. First things first. Diaz, Perry, what do you say? Thoughts?
I think it's great. I think it's the best fight in the card immediately. I can't wait to see these two guys in there and add something to the card that it didn't have before. It's two relevant guys right now fighting each other. I know Diaz, obviously people will say he's a bit long in the tooth maybe, but he's an icon of this sport. He's a guy that everybody wants to see. Mike Perry has been completely rejuvenated through his outside the UFC activities. We know that the UFC probably want into the Nate Diaz business right now. For Netflix to take him, to get him signed to this card, it kind of adds something to that kind of battlefront we keep talking about. Dana against the boxing world, Netflix potentially being the person to take him on the MMA world. I think it adds so much to the card. I think a lot of people are looking this with Francis there against Lins and Ronda and Carano, and they were kind of saying, oh, well, you know, Francis is an easy fight. Is Ronda, is Gina still relevant at this stage? I don't think you're going to get any real MMA fans saying they don't want to watch Mike Perry and Nate Diaz.
I do just have to say this. It is a bit of revisionist history on the Ariel Helwani show today, because these guys are now going back and they're being like, I know people weren't too excited for Gina versus Ronda or Francis versus Felipe, but these guys were. These guys glazed it the fuck up, But now they're acting like they acknowledge it, and they're like, I know people weren't too excited for it, but this one they must be excited for. It's like, bro, you guys were glazing that shit up. Don't ever forget that New York Rick said that Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano card is going to compete with UFC White House. Because New York Rick was on air today being like, essentially there's no way it's going to compete with UFC White House. It's just super weird. They're doing this weird back. I don't know. But it just needs to be pointed out that, like, them acknowledging that Ronda and Gina and Francis and Felipe Lins were kind of misses, right? They're not the biggest fights. That's disingenuous, because this platform has been glazing that shit up ever since it's been announced. But now it's like, you can't say anything about this card now because Nate Diaz versus Mike Perry. It's like, bro, so you guys did hear all the criticism. You guys were ignoring it this whole time, acting like you didn't hear it, being like toxically positive, and the second a good fight gets booked, now you're gaslighting us. It's that type of shit, More gaslighting. They gaslighted us already with Ronda versus Gina. Ignored the fact that there was criticism involved. Now, they're gaslighting us, and they're acknowledging the fact that there was criticism, but stop criticizing now. Like, now you got a good fight on your hands. It's worth saying.
Fight on this card, I think it's tremendous.
Mike Perry.
Because they're acting like the card wasn't good until this fight got booked. Sorry to pause it, but it's like they're acting like this fight wasn't good. This card wasn't good until this fight got booked. And I'm telling you, that's not what they've been saying. They've been saying this card is killer and stellar and going to compete with UFC White House before Nate versus Mike Perry was ever mentioned. But now they're acting like, okay, now this card's good because of that fight. It wasn't before, but now it is. They've been telling us this whole time the card is good with Ronda and Gina.
Perry's last MMA fight, 2021, but as you said, been very, very busy in the world of bare knuckle. Obviously had the boxing match against Jake Paul, but the bare knuckle world has really rejuvenated his career. He's become the face of BKFC, and I understand this doesn't preclude him from fighting for them in the future. More on that in a moment. Nate Diaz, of course, his last fight was in 2022 as far as MMA is concerned. That fateful UFC 279 card where he was supposed to fight Khamzat. Khamzat misses weight. He beats Tony Ferguson on short notice. And of course, we've seen him in a couple of boxing matches since the Jake Paul fight and the Jorge Masvidal boxing match of a couple of years ago.
I don't like it when Ariel just recites facts like that. Like, give us something more than just like the fucking Tapology report, bro. Like, tell us why it's cool. Tell us, like, I don't know. Like we all know that he fucking, like, what Mike Perry's been doing outside the UFC and, you know, what Nate's been doing outside the UFC. I feel like I told you guys what they've been doing outside the UFC a lot better than Ariel did. Flex your body. What the fuck? Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Oh my goodness gracious. Shout out to Kevin from Chicago. I love when you play Ariel's interview, says Space Kid. Shout out to Space Kid. Well, here you go, homie. Here's another clip for you. A 4-minute, 59-second clip. Should we check the bicep real quick for Kevin from Chicago? How the buy looking? How the buy looking, Kevin from Chicago? How the buy looking? They're looking pretty good if you ask me. Looking pretty good. All right, let's continue.
Something to get excited about, which is what you ultimately want in a card like this. I think there's many different interesting viewpoints to talk about. Number one, that they got Nate and Mike is huge. No secret, you know, Nate was a free man. No secret, I could tell you, UFC was interested in bringing Nate back. And to me, what makes this so interesting is that this is the closest that we've ever seen to a boxing MMA card. And let me explain. Right now, as Nikisa Badarian said last week, and others have said as well, Gabe Spitzer of Netflix as well, top guy as far as sports are concerned over there, Netflix isn't in the MMA business just yet. Right now, this is a one-off. They're in the event business, as we've talked about in the past. Kobayashi, Joey Chestnut, World Baseball Classic in Japan only, Women's World Cup, Home Run Derby, Opening Day, MLB. They don't want, 43 events. They don't want a full schedule of, 82 games or anything like that. They want big events. So right now, this was a big event that was brought to them. And if you're Nate Diaz, Mike Perry, Ronda Rousey, Gina Carano, Francis Ngannou, you're signing one-fight deals to be on this card. So if you're Nate Diaz, who was looking at his options and was like, hey, I could go back to the UFC right now, and who knows how that plays out, and it's going to be 4 fights. They don't do one-fight deals. It's going to be 6 fights. It's going to be multi-fights, as opposed to a one-off on the biggest platform in the world, 325 plus million subscribers. Look at what that platform did to Anthony Joshua back in December. And Nate obviously isn't an unknown commodity in America, but it will obviously raise his profile, no doubt about it. This could very well be, and I don't even think it's going out on a limb to say it, the most watched MMA card of all time, because it's on the biggest platform.
Just have to say, I don't know why Ariel acts like we didn't cover Anthony Joshua religiously until he fought on Netflix. Like, what do you mean him fighting Jake Paul elevated his status? Anthony Joshua has always been that dude. He kind of did fall off, though. And that's not going to change. He is on a downward spiral in his career. He probably isn't going to be a champion again, so I don't know. Ariel and his weird-ass optics, always with his weird-ass optics of how he views things. I prefer him just to give me the facts. He's very good at that. His optics of things is just always off. Like, bro, Anthony Joshua, I don't want to go over this whole thing, but I just feel like I have to. Anthony Joshua, right? He was a world beater earlier on. Obviously, he lost to Andy Ruiz, and he avenged that loss. But then he lost to Usyk. Then he lost to Dubois. And it's like, he's just shown that he's not really the best anymore. But up until that point, he was getting glazed up heavy, rightfully so. But once you start losing these title fights, right, then you do start to, your star does start to fade a little bit. And yes, fighting Jake Paul re-sparked his star a little bit. It did re-spark his star, and it made us forget about some of those losses. But don't get it twisted. Like, Anthony Joshua is not the best boxer in the world today. You know, it's already been proven. Usyk beat him. Dubois beat him. So, I mean, he might go fight Tyson Fury now. But being like, you know, this did a crazy thing to Anthony Joshua's status. Like, I don't know.
Form worldwide of all time. And so you go on here, you win this fight. Now all of a sudden you could go back to the UFC and say, all right, the number just changed. Now I'm an even hotter commodity. I just came back. People are going crazy over me. Or you could go elsewhere, or you could go back to them if this is a success and you ask for X, Y, and Z. Every one of these guys, like when they put together these big boxing events, these are all one-offs. And we've never seen that in MMA. If you want to sign with PFL, you've got to sign for X amount of years or X amount of fights. If you want to sign with UFC, you've got to sign for X amount of years or X amount of fights. This is a very attractive opportunity for these guys and gals because it's just, hey, let's make the biggest splash and then all of our stock goes up. You know what I mean? And so to me, this was a no-brainer for Nate. Obviously, we'd love to see him fight Conor McGregor. Now, Conor still has 2 fights left. Based on everything I've heard and everything Pete said on Friday, we're trending in the right direction. And as we've told you time and again, it's July 11th, International Fight Week. That's what they want. And there was some talk of Nate versus Conor. But would you rather sign a 4-fight deal or would you rather sign a mega 1-fight deal on the biggest platform in the world? It's that fight isn't going away. And by the way, Conor has 2 fights left. What do you think that fight would do on a massive platform like Netflix in a year and a half or so from now? It would be gigantic. It would probably be the biggest fight not named Jake Paul and Mike Tyson that could be made right now for all intents and purposes. And so the landscape, if they do, and that's why I'm telling
He did not just say that. Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson, the biggest fight that could be made right now. Bro, this is why I try to tell you guys all the time. Numbers lie these days. Numbers lie these days. Okay, yeah, if you go off of a fucking metric, you know, if you go off a metric, okay, maybe that's quote unquote the biggest fight, but it's not, bro. It's just not. Jake versus fucking Mike Tyson was the biggest fight you could put together. Like, what are you smoking, bro? Numbers fucking lie. Just, I don't care. I don't care if it's a top viewed fight because it was on Netflix. Does not mean that was the biggest fight you could have put together. Jake versus Mike Tyson. Is this the world we're living in today? You know, back like no more than like, you know, 5 or 6 years ago, we're talking about like big fights along the lines of like, not 5 or 6 years ago, but the big fights. Okay. Let me give you guys an example of other big fights. Oh shit. Dag MMA raid. So what? Dag MMA just sent people over to me or what? Shout out to Dag MMA if he did that. That's pretty chill of him to do that. Thanks for showing love, homie. Maybe I'll show you some love in the future. But no, I was just trying to say, well, shit, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, Ariel saying that Mike Tyson, Jake Paul, you know, the only bigger fight you could make than that today is Conor versus Nate 3 on Netflix. Like, bro, what the fuck? I come from the era where it's like, you know, Conor versus Nate 2, one of the biggest fights of all time. Conor versus Floyd, one of the biggest fights of all time. Floyd versus Pacquiao, one of the biggest fights of all time, right? These are the biggest fights of all time. I cannot believe in the Big 26, fucking Ariel sitting here being like, Conor versus Nate 3 on Netflix is the only thing bigger than Jake versus Mike Tyson. Like, what? Like, what the fuck, bro? Why are you in this, like, why is Ariel in this little trinket world, bro? This little bells and whistles trinket-ass world.
everyone. I'm not just saying it because we love Netflix. I love Netflix. It's great for the fight game. This is amazing for MMA. Everyone should be rooting for this. I don't care if you're the biggest UFC stan of all time. I love the UFC. I don't want them to go anywhere. It's great for our life that we have something to talk about, that we have Kevin Vachejos to talk about and all this stuff. If they went away, it would be awful for us. But you need that alternative. And we've never seen the alternative come in this form, right? So to have something like this on a Monday to talk about is great. We haven't had this. All due respect to PFL, they are not offering this to us. Costello Venstinas versus Fabian Edwards is fun. It's great, but that serves the hardest of the hardcore. No one has been able to come in and make these types of events and fights. And so right now it's just a one-off. But I think they have shown to everyone that they're willing to pay, that they're willing to invest, and they're willing to go big. And you can't get much bigger than, as far as Rick said, who's available than Ronda versus Gina. And remember what Francis said last week. The original plan, and this is true, Francis versus Rico, Nate versus Mike. I mean, that's an incredible thing. Now, it didn't work out that way. Rico took the other fight. God bless him. But you're still getting 5 massive names there and a nice little story in Philippe Lins, who's trying to shock the world and change his life, and more to come. This is great for everyone. This is great and a no-brainer, if you ask me. Nate made the right choice. And I understand it didn't go too far down, and Connor's not done, so who knows? That could go sideways. But Nate versus Mike Perry is a very, very, very exciting addition. And dare I say...
Okay. Yuri says, odds the UFC cutting MVP and the MVP promotion signing MVP. I would say that the odds are super high, and I doubt that the UFC will re-sign MVP. So as soon as the UFC lets MVP go, DEI Promotions will sign him for sure. For sure, you retarded. Odds of CM Punk getting into the Hall of Fame, 0. AI2A says Poetan is the worst fighter. Oh, I get it. I get what you're saying. You know, the fact that homie's about to be a 3-division champion with less than 20 MMA fights overall is insane. He got 16 fights. 10-2 in the UFC is a diabolical record, bro. 10-2 is a crazy record. Dude's a beast. He's very one-dimensional, but he's good at his one discipline, you know. I would say that if AI2A calls Poetan the worst fighter, you know, what would you say about Khabib then? Khabib was a shit-ass striker, a great wrestler. You know, Pereira, a shit-ass grappler, great striker. I mean, it just is what it is. Shout out to Tuxedo. He goes, oh, thank you for the $2 dono, Tux. He goes, I'm just here tonight to support the channel, man. Shout out to Tux. Thank you, homie. Thank you. Actually, you know, first dono of the night. Didn't even notice that, but shout out to Tux. We got the dono. Tux with the dono. Once again, thank you very much, brother. Bro, learn English and how to pronounce the name. Bro, I think I know English just fine. What the hell are you on, Alex? Alex Poetan Pereira? You want me to say Pajeda? No. I'm not going to do that. Alex is getting demolished at heavyweight. What an idiot. I hope he knocks Cyril Gane the fuck out. And that's no troll. AI2A and I are always on opposite stances. Actually, I think AI2A knows that I want Pereira to knock out Cyril Gane because I dislike Cyril Gane strongly. That might be why he's saying that. But yeah, bro. I hope Alex absolutely demolishes Cyril Gane for sure. I hope he destroys him. I hate Cyril Gane. No, I don't hate anybody. We're gonna fix that little error of my ways. I don't hate nobody. Tuxedo Mask, thank you. Sorry, I had to burp. Tuxedo Mask, thank you for the $2 dono once again, homie. Tux goes, sometimes I'm here to talk shit, tonight support. My man. You know I don't mind it either way. Talk your shit, homie. It's always in good fun anyway. It's never anything I can't handle. Alex says I was talking to AI2A, bro. Oh, okay. I got you. I was going to say, bro, I think my English is just fine. AI2A is always one step ahead. Honestly, homie being here on the daily trolling me, and I enjoy it. I do enjoy what AI2A brings to the table. Alex running from Hamzat. Bro, Hamzat got a belt to defend. Come on, bro. Hamzat got a belt to defend. You got to bring it better than that, AI2A. Your Russian arguments have been very soft. They've been very soft. You know, that stuff you were saying about Islam, Kopin, about Ilya and all that stuff. I mean, the arguments ain't helping you. Alex running from Hamzat. Like, bro, Hamzat got a belt to defend at 185. Hamzat probably running from Strickland, running from Imavov. Alex don't need to fight Hamzat. Not at all, bro. Alex up onto the heavyweight division, onto his third belt. He already conquered middleweight, you know. He looking at Hamzat, like, yo, been there, done that, homie. Been there, done that. Been there, done that, homie. You want to come up here and start chasing history for your second belt? Shit, I want to move up and get my third belt, homie. You trying to get your second belt? Been there, done that, homie. Been there, done that, homie. You know, got the flyer. You feel me? Whatever that saying is, been there, done that. Got the poster, right? He already been there. He on to the next. Alex above cum shot. There you go. There you go. 79% of people are saying Nate Diaz beats Mike Perry, and rightfully so. Shout out to you guys. Run up the votes still. I'd like to know what everybody thinks about it. Let's check out best fight odds and see what's the odds, because I'm pretty sure the odds are low. Oh shit, we haven't even talked about UFC London yet. Have not even talked about UFC London yet, but we're not going to tonight. I think maybe I'll just save that for tomorrow. Oh yeah, Mike Perry versus Nate Diaz, no opening odds. But I was listening to Ariel Helwani's show today to get some insight on some of this stuff. Just sucks how much bullshit I have to listen to get the real info from Ariel, but it's fine. I'll just deal with it. But Ariel was saying that he got an email from some type of, certified source, and they said that Mike Perry opened up as a small favorite over Nate Diaz, and then Mike Perry has since been bet as a big favorite over Nate Diaz. So once these odds come out, boys, if you believe in Nate, I would lock that money in quick, because right now people are putting the house on Mike Perry. So you got a bag to make betting on Nate Diaz. A bag to make. Hamzat will grape Strickland, then Hamzat moving up to kill Alex. Alex going to be a heavyweight though, homie. Hamzat is the one who has more need to fight Alex, and that's why he is all the way calling him out. True. What's poppin'? Andrew Nance. LFG, homie. LFG. Check out the new emojis, Andrew. You liking them or what? Andrew already making good use of the new emoji. Shout out to homie. Tux with the $2 dono once again. Thank you, Tux, for the $2 dono, homie. You want to get to Perry? First, you got to go through me. Shit, I love it. I love it. We got defenses now. You want to get to me? You got to go through Tux first. Shit, we got the streets forming Voltron over here. If anyone remembers that Floyd Mayweather Conor McGregor press conference when he said form Voltron. We got the streets forming Voltron for me. Look at Andrew with all the new emojis. Got the Hanza, got the Buck, my man. We all had our 1 week GFs. Come on. Oh, yeah, because I was reading some other ones too. AI2A says, Buyer Seller goes, Alex cracked Tracy Cortez. He ain't tripping about that guy. And then AI2A goes, didn't Tracy break up with Alex after a week? Bro, in what world are we going to actually believe that Tracy broke up with Alex? Alex is the catch. Alex is the catch. Tracy was going to bed every night, praying to God, thanking her for blessing her. Oh, my bad. Thanking him for blessing her with the catch, Alex Pereira. All right. Alex definitely left Tracy after he hit it. My one criticism about Alex is, bro, you do not need to wife these girls up so much for these one-night stands. Like, they good with it. They good with it. You know, these women are good with it. Like, you don't need to be putting her on your story just to hit it. He did that with whatever her name is, Pollyanna, and he did it with Tracy. I don't like that Pereira posts them on his story while he's hitting them casually. You know, only post golden retrievers on your story. Buckley is a one-hit pony. Buckley finna submit Sean Brady. He finna get off all up in that ass. Sean Brady got two options. Come May 9th. Go out on your face or your back, homie. You know. Go out on your face and your back. Space Kid says, wish I had those tough emojis. Not gonna lie. Shout out to Space Kid. I'll be gifting out some, I'm gonna gift out some more membies when the time is right. Probably when my next interview drops on members only. I'll gift out some more membies. So, but yeah, shout out to all the boys with the membies. That's good news, though. If Space Kid has a little bit of FOMO, that means I did a good job with the new emojis. You feel me? That was kind of the goal. You know, I wanted you guys to feel a little bit left out, that you don't get to rock these tough emojis. We got some good ones. We got some good ones, but that's not all you get as a member. So, like I said, I'll gift out some more memberships in a little bit here, but not today. Not today. Shit, the Drew Dober in a white hood, it goes hard as fuck, bro. Drew Dober in a white hood goes too hard. Nick Diaz at the bar, too hard, bro. Too hard. Diddy. Oh, Andrew spamming the emojis. I love it, though. I love it. These are good ones. Shout out to all the boys. I was actually at the pool today. Laying out in the sun. Shout out to that beautiful sunny Cali weather. But I was at the pool today, laying out in the sun. And then I was like checking out YouTube and I was like, let me do these emojis real quick. So I just started firing off all the emojis while I was tanning today. I wasn't really tanning. I was just chilling out there. But since we're on a little bit of a casual story real quick, let me give you guys a casual story. Then I'll show you guys a clip from Joaquin Buckley. And then I'm not sure where we'll go from there. But a casual story. You guys love the neighbor lore, right? All right. If you guys love the neighbor lore, you're going to love this one. So I was at the pool today and I wasn't by myself. Okay. I was with a beautiful lady. All right. So I was at the pool just chilling. That's like a side note thing. But obviously we were chilling at my house earlier too. And then what's it called? My girl was dipping. So I walked her out to her car. Guess who was pulling up to her house as I was walking her out to her car? The bitch upstairs. The bitch upstairs saw me with my baddie. Okay, the bitch upstairs saw me with my baddie. While she was coming home, I was walking her to her car. And I loved it. I loved it. That lady hates me so much. I'm sure she hates me even more now. She didn't do shit either. She didn't look at me. She just kept looking forward, put her head down, so to speak. But it's just crazy because that's the same lady who'd been calling the cops on me, sending her ex-husband down to try to, like, you know, press me, calling the leasing office, calling the security one and all this stuff. We walked by her today. She didn't say shit. She didn't say shit. Don't tell them, babe. AI2A, do not do that, homie. You are not the baddie that was here today. All right, AI2A. But no, that's a fact. That's a fact. I walked by her today. She probably hates it. She probably hates it. Especially because some of you boys think that she wanted me. So if she did want me, she's probably super jealous now. She's a good bop. She doesn't make a sound. Yeah, she's a good bop. She didn't make a fucking sound. She didn't make a peep. She knew the place. She knew her place. She didn't want no smoke with my girl. She didn't want no smoke with my girl. AI2A says, guys, fine. I'm with Brandon. Shout out to AI2A. You dirty mofo. All right. Just a quick friendly reminder to all you boys. Make sure you subscribe if you're not subscribed. And, like the video if you haven't hit that like button yet. Thank you, Tuxedo, for the $2 dono. Once again, homie. Always appreciated. Tux says, my timeline full of mutts. I feel you. My timeline full of the same shit, bro. I like it and I hate it at the same time. It's like my explore page is full of bodybuilding, so shirtless men. Then you got UFC fighters, more shirtless men, and then you got like the Instagram whores, so to speak. So shirtless women, women in bikinis and shit like that. So that's what my For You page is. It also has a good mix of some of those Asian baddies just like dancing and shit for the engagement. Yeah, that shit, I don't know. Always popping up. But yeah, that would be my explore page. Smash likes, everybody hit the like button. Okay, we're gonna go to Joaquin Buckley saying that he might sub Sean Brady. Joaquin looks like he's in great spirits for this fight though, man. Joaquin couldn't be in better spirits. He glowing. Shit, my man glowing. My man glowing. No Diddy. No Diddy, my man glowing. Okay, you can see the complexion. He looking great. He looking good. He looking great. All right, shout out Buck, my man. He basically said he's finna sub Sean Brady. But, you know, this is Buck just expressing his heart, so to speak, and then talking a little bit about the fight. So this isn't any real craziness, but, I mean, it is newsworthy. I'm probably going to clip it off that he says he's going to sub Brady. But let's listen to Joaquin. Been a minute since we heard from Buck, right? He been locked in on the fight camp. So let's hear from Buck. Shout out to Andrew dropping the Diddy emoji. Perfect timing.
Boxing Academy, come and get this word.
Dropping the Buck emoji. Perfect timing. Let's get it, boys. Let's get it.
But do I dislike Brady? No, I don't dislike him. It just is what it is. I respect him even more now because he took the fight, right? You know, you got a lot of guys that be like, man, I'm hella mad this dude took the fight. Now, how you mad? Because now you finna get paid, right? So, respecting Sean Brady for taking this fight, man, and being a man and stepping up in that octagon with me. So at the end of the day, man, there ain't nothing but love, but I got to do what I got to do, right? I need this win, you know what I mean? I don't want just a win. I need this win, right? Because at the end of the day, bro, you know, I'm trying to get towards that title. I'm trying to get closer to becoming one of the biggest names in the game, but I ain't getting no help from nobody. Everything that y'all see is really on me. Oh, hold on. Coach. Let me stop lying. There's one other person.
Hey, you know, we can't let that slide. He goes, we ain't getting no help from nobody. Shit, what we doing for you over here, Buck? What we doing for you over here, big dog? You ain't getting no help from nobody. Shit, we doing it for you, big dog. We doing it for you, and you should have been on here for the interview. It's okay, we're gonna run it soon. But it's like Buck saying, ain't nobody helping me become the biggest star in the promotion. Shit, what we doing over here then, Buck? What the fuck we doing over here, big dog? Okay, we behind. Oh my gosh, I can't even finish that sentence. Cannot even finish that sentence. But we behind you, homie. We behind you, no Diddy. We behind you, no Diddy. All right? We behind you, big dog. No Diddy. We with you. We with you.
All love to this guy right here, man. This is my Mick, right? You know what I'm saying? I know Rocky and Mick. This is my Mick right here. You know what I'm saying? Every day, man, he really has changed me into that Buck made all that y'all see, right? So y'all might see some new stuff from Buck.
Oh, you're going to see all kinds of things from Buck.
Right? So look, put your money down. Look, can I do this? Is this illegal? Fuck it, I'm going to say it anyway. Put your money down on the sub. See, look. Brady said he might submit us. Well, we might have some of his ass too. Put your seatbelts on. Put your seatbelt. Coach don't want to say too much. All right, man. But look, man, I just want to update y'all, man. We will be in Seattle March 27th all the way to the weekend, right? The week of the fight. So with that being said, man, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all, man. I'm about to get about it. Appreciate it. SCL, bye.
March 27th to May 9th, he's going to be in Seattle, I guess. Why is he going to be in Seattle? What's in Seattle for him? Demetrius? That would be a sick link up. Bucky Larson. Whoa, Buck. Yeah, so shout out to all the boys who tuned in today. That's going to pretty much be the stream. That's all I got for you boys. That's all I got for you boys. I mean, we can do one quick scroll on X for the one time for the boys. Sean O'Malley headlines are not hitting like they were in 2024. I'm not even going to listen to Ariel's cope response to a fan calling him out. Look what a fan said to him in a super chat.
What else, Frankie?
How many combined years?
This fan said this to Ariel, called him out. So Ariel's audience is not happy either. They go, how many combined years fighters in the MVP card have not fought in MMA? Really going to ignore that, Ariel? Come on, dude. This is a casual fans card, period. I think he fucking did Ariel a favor by calling it a casual fans card. That's giving it too much praise, bro. It's not a casual fans card. That would insinuate that there's a market for Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano. Casuals does not mean, like, I don't know what these, like, Homie fucked up by saying casual card. Because look what Ariel says. What Netflix is interested in is delivering for everyone. That's why say all the boxes will be checked off. But when he says Netflix is interested in delivering for everyone, bro, who's everyone? Everyone's not asking for this fight. Just to give you an example, right? Because saying this is a casual fans card, no, the casual fans card earlier this year essentially was Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje. That's a casual fight right there. That's a fight for the casuals because the people who don't really know about MMA, they know Paddy Pimblett. Okay, this is what you would call a hardcore, somewhat, fight right here. I don't even know what you call this. Don't even know what you would call this. Really not a hardcore fight. It's really not for hardcore fight fans, and it's really not for casual fight fans either. The hardcores respect the game too much to tune into Ronda versus Gina, and the casuals are not dying, right? There's not a market for Ronda versus Gina, right? The casuals, they would go to a Nate Diaz per se. They would go to Mike Perry per se, more so for Nate Diaz, but it's not because of Ngannou. And it's not because of Ronda Rousey. I'm telling you, nobody these days in the streets is saying, yo, you watching the Ngannou fight tonight. That's the biggest gauge. If you want to know something is casual or not, okay, think about your homie who doesn't really watch the sport. They said months ago, yo, you watching the Paddy Pimblett fight tonight, right? You watching the McGregor fight. Yo, you watching the Jake Paul fight, right? This is somewhat casual shit. Not, oh, you watching the Ronda Rousey fight? That's not casual. That's super hardcore, bro. That's super hardcore. But I'm just saying, this super chatter, he gave Ariel like his argument on a silver platter while he was trying to call him out by saying it's a casual fans card. It's not really a casual fans card, and it's not even really a hardcore fans card. But Ariel's going to take that and be like, yeah, it is a casual fans card, but that's because that's by design. Oh my gosh, bro. Oh my gosh. It's not. It's not a casual fans card. Needs to be said again. Damn, Joe gets in a heated cursing fight with his guest over vaccines. Ariel, I guess, has the top views on YouTube since March. 3.5 million. Guru has 2.2 million. DJ has 1.7 million. Remember people said that Guru needed Mighty Mouse? Guru outperforms Mighty Mouse. All right, boys. Nothing on the timeline to scroll. I'm only doing this because last night when I got off the live, I went on Twitter and I saw Colby called out Bo. So I'm figuring, I'll just double check it. Double check the timeline before I dip out of here. But Connor versus Patty, fuck it, says Tim Welsh. I like it. Connor versus Patty, I like it. Okay, boys. Shout out to everybody who watched. Oh shit, I just got a bunch of chats. El Capitan says, yo, what's up? I just subscribed to you. Thank you, homie. Much appreciated. We are live every single day. We're in the middle of a 90-day live stream streak. Tomorrow is going to be like 3 weeks. So thank you for subscribing and stay locked in on all the content. Who else? Chael has a horrible record. Nickal versus Covington would be all right matchup. Prime, I don't really agree. I don't really agree that Nickal versus Covington would be an all right matchup. I think, I think that Bo Nickal needs to stop chasing a Colby Covington fight, really. And he needs to fight somebody in his own weight class. Just focus on the contenders. Colby, don't got nothing for you. Shout out to Andrew Nett saying, great show, homie. Thank you very much, my brother. My brother, thank you. And shout out to you for using the Drew Dober hooded fucking emojis. Those are gold. Perfecto dropping the no Diddy. Shout out to Perfecto. Prime says, Jacob probably doesn't even remember who I am. Prime, of course I do, homie. Of course I do. I ain't even calling you by the name that's showing up in the chat. The chat's showing your name as Universal Bank AI. But I'm so tapped into these streets that I already know who the fuck that is. That's Prime. All right, that's Prime right there. That ain't no universal bank AI. That's Prime. That's Prime. Prime saying hyped up for nothing. Jacob on TikTok has been blowing up due to the Giorgio interview. Yeah, that Giorgio interview on TikTok, I got almost like 1 million views, bro. Off of 3 clips, I almost got like 1 million views, or like 4 clips. I think we touched around 8,000 views off of 4 clips on TikTok. No collabs, just straight off of my feed. No collab. That's a sign of good work right there. Shout out to Prime for recognizing. Everybody go follow me on TikTok. TikTok, IG, shit, we got it all. We got the X. We got it all. Go follow. 100% independent. We own all our masters around here. Barcelo says, last time casuals I know had interest in a fight was Strickland versus Hernandez. Yeah, Strickland does bring in the casual fan base, you know. That's a good example. People say, yo, you watching the Sean Strickland fight tonight? 93 Octane asking, what would have a farther reach with casual audience? Ronda versus Gina or GSP versus Habib? Bro, GSP versus Habib. People know you know, I said, right, about the Strickland versus Hernandez. I said people would be asking, yo, you're watching the Strickland fight tonight, because Strickland has transcended into, you know, mainstream media with the things that he says. So that's why people would ask, like, yo, you watching the Strickland fight tonight? Usually it's only one person who's kind of like appeasing the casual fan base. Like I said with Patty versus Gaethje. Gaethje wasn't the one supporting the casual fan base. I mean, kind of, because he is a bit of a, you know, everybody knows Gaethje. But it was more so, yo, you watching the Patty Pimblett fight tonight, right? And I say that to say that GSP versus Habib, you'd have both camps being like, yo, you watching the GSP fight tonight? Then you might walk up to somebody else at the gym. They're going to be like, yo, you watching the Habib fight tonight? Those are the casual fan bases right there. You feel me? Meaning they would support no matter what because they're attached to the person. And for some reason, people think that people are still attached to Ronda over a decade later, and they're just not. I realize I'm behind on chats, so my bad. I think you all know why Nickal's chasing Colby, to show how terrible of a wrestler he is. Nickal needs to stay at 185 and fight another middleweight. Jesse says, Colby is just talking out of his ass. Don't expect him to fight at this point. Shouldn't even be in the rankings. I know. I've literally heard, if I had a nickel for every time I heard somebody say that Colby shouldn't be in the rankings. Nickel is better wrestler than Colby. Yes, we know. 93 Octane says, MVP just signed an ESPN deal for women's boxing. Not surprised MVP MMA Netflix card is headlined by Ronda Rousey versus Gina. Bro, I told you, MVP is DEI Promotions. DEI at its finest, bro. Somebody go look up DEI if you don't know what that shit is. It's basically patronizing. You know, it's basically like equality type shit. Listen, there's no equality in MMA. Either you sell or you don't. Combat sports is very simple. There's no equality. You sell or you don't. People want to watch you or they don't. You figure it out yourself. MVP supposedly offered 50-year-old Mirko to fight Francis. What the fuck? It was literally because the Strickland Hernandez Ice versus a Mexican poster on IG that popped it off. That also did pop it off. Prime says, yo, by the way, Jacob, you should let me be mod in your Discord. It's only got like 4 channels and I'm an experienced builder. I think you trust me a little bit. Yeah. All the people kind of want Strickland to get destroyed from the ice post. Why, bro? It wasn't even that serious. Wasn't even mad at it. Prime, how do I make you a mod? I'm on the Discord now. What's your name in here? Is it Universal? Prime, drop your name in the Discord and I'll make you a mod right now. Can you drop your name in the chat, like what it is on Discord? There's a lot of members in here, so like I'm gonna have a hard time. Oh, it's Conquerors. I see it right here. Manage. Edit roles. No. How I'm supposed to make you a moderator? Prime. It says moderator actions. Edit roles. Timeout Conquerors, kick Conquerors, ban Conquerors, transfer ownership. I'm not going to ban you, kick you, put you in timeout, or transfer ownership. Can I be a part of the demo team, sir? Yes, once I figure out how to put Conquerors as a fucking mod. I think we're going to keep you where you're at. It's you go to settings, then create roles, then press the administrator. Okay. Okay, so let me do this again. Let's go to the settings. Oh, add members or roles. Okay, Conquer. Add. It's telling me you haven't created any roles yet. How am I supposed to create a role? Add role. Um, I don't really feel like transferring ownership, Prime. Transferring ownership might be where I draw the line. I know how to create a role. If not, then I'll show you. Hold on. We might have to do this tomorrow, Prime. I was not prepared to do this right now. But, you know. And yeah, by the way, we don't got no more topics. That's why me and Prime are chopping it up about this. But shout out to everybody watching. Okay, 1 second. Okay, I'm going to give this... We're going to do this for 5 minutes, Prime. And then we're going to probably just move on. All right, Prime. We can also do this another day, but so if I go to edit channel, Prime, where do I go from here? Here it is. No, no, no. Go to the server settings. Where's the server settings? Here? User settings? Okay. Server settings. Got you. Okay. We're here. I'm following you. I'm following you. I got you. Where are we at now? Roles? I'm with you, homie. Create role. Okay, I'm here. Go to roles. I went to roles. Head to roles. I'm right here. I'm assuming I click create role. Create roles. Okay. What should the role name be? Role name should be what? Mod? Role style, solid, gradient, or holographic? Make me admin. I got you guys. One step at a time. I would love for you guys to help me out with this. So I'm down. I'm down to let you guys help me out with the Discord. But one step at a time. Let's lock in Prime, and then we'll work on Space Kid and whoever else asked. I think buyer seller asked. Label the new role mod or admin. Okay, let's do the first role, mod. No need for solid. It's just kind of there. It's just kind of there. Yeah, I have no choice. It's just kind of there. Color, green for money. We like green for money. I'm JK LOL. No worries. No, I didn't ask. That was a movie line. Okay. Okay, put any color for mod. I did. Gave it green. No need for image. Buyer seller says don't really go on Discord, but if I feel like it, I'll let you know. Perfect, homie. No pressure. Only if somebody wants to. Like Prime. I'm happy to oblige. Prime been asked too. He been asked a hot minute ago, and I never did it. So here we are. What's next, Prime? Scroll down a bit. I'm down all the way. This is as down as it goes. Oh, wait. My bad. My bad. Let me get myself out the way. I can barely moderate my own life. I feel you. Put allow everyone to mention role. Okay. The other thing says display role members separately from online members. And then the bottom says view server as role. This will let you test what actions this role can take and what channels it can see, only available to server owners and admins. Oh, that's just a test. Let's save this though. Okay, press on for everything. Press on for everything so I could do it all. All right, homie, I'm trusting you. I'm trusting you. I gave you everything but this bottom one. Yes, press the advanced administrator, you motherfucker. All right, you fucker. All right, you fucker. Mr. Prime. I hope you're happy. Okay, now I need to go to your name. I see what you're saying. Let's go to Conkers. Wait, where's your name in here? Alphabetical. Oh, you just went online, didn't you? I just saw your name go online. Add role mod. There you are, motherfucker. There you are, fucker. All right. I got you. You're already locked in, Conquer or Prime. You locked in, right, Prime? I'm gonna hop off here once we're done with this, but like you're good, right? Nothing left to do? It's time to work. My man Prime. I'll see you in the Discord. I'll peep into it in a little bit. I'm gonna go I think I'm gonna go hit the gym. Tell me if other changes need to be built heading out. I don't have any ideas really for the Discord. So I'm gonna trust you, Prime. Like when you're saying tell me if other changes need to be built, I don't have any changes for you. So whatever you're gonna do in here is probably gonna be like, you know, things that I pick up on. So you're gonna put me on game, Prime. That's why I trusted you with everything. You're gonna put me on game. I'm gonna see how it's supposed to be run, and I'll follow your lead, homie. I'll follow your lead. Thanks for doing that, by the way. Thanks for you know, wanting to be a mod in the Discord. Because yeah, I got the Discord going, but we don't got too much action in here. And then Space Kid says, wow, W. Perry and everyone who watched him make him mod. Yeah, shout out to you guys for doing that, for sticking in and watching that. You guys are some real soldiers, some certified street soldiers. And yeah. Yep. And then yeah, shout out to all you boys. I'm eventually going to gift out some memberships. So, you know, stay tuned. I'm going to gift out some more memberships shortly. I want to make sure Space Kid gets a membership. My man, Space Kid. He needs himself a memby. So hopefully he can get one once I gift him out. But, yeah, just want to say that. I'm going to start gifting out some memberships. Probably I'll gift out a few this week. So just keep tuning into the stream so you can get one. And, that's all I got for you boys. Thanks for watching, as always. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for day, you know, probably what, 21 or some shit like that of the 90-day streak. So shit, we cooking. We like 1/4 of the way there. And we don't got no signs of burnout. But let me shout out the streets and I'm going to get out of here. All right. Shout out to Buyer Seller. Shout out to Prime. Shout out to Space Kid. Shout out to Jesse Dunaway. Shout out to Andrew Nance, my man. Shout out to Tuxedo Mask for all the donos. Shout out to 93 Octane. Shout out to Jew. He was in here as well. Shout out to El Capitan. Shout out to Perfecto. Shout out to AI2A. Shout out to Brian C. Shouting out the streets. My man, Brian C. You're a member, homie, so make sure you take advantage of those emojis. Shout out to John Dong for tuning in, brother. Good to see you in here. Alex Poeton Pereira Shama, shout out. Bloodhound Little Jeff, the Bloodhound Little Jeff, shout out, homie. Got you. Thanks for tuning in. You're retarded. Good to see you in here. America First, thanks for tuning in. Kevin from Chicago, Top Soldier, thanks for tuning in. Once again, Jew, shout out, homie. Thanks for always tuning in. Jax904 popped in the chat, so shout out to Jax. Shout out to Lord of the Pies. Shout out to Tony Sal, both membies. Jax also a memby, so cop your membies now. Meat Rocket, shout out to the homie Meat Rocket. Shout out to Junior Mint. Was Tyler Betts in here? Didn't see Tyler Betts in here, but shout out to Tyler Betts. All right. I can't see anybody else to scroll to the top. So if you were in here and I didn't shout you out, it's because I can't scroll up any higher than I already have. But shout out to all you guys. Thanks for watching.